child's pose for the first pose, I think. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you just want to go right there. You want to sit up for a few more minutes, but oh, hi, Monica. So yeah, actually either child's pose or your belly. It doesn't really matter. If you prefer to lie down on your belly, then yeah, just do that. If your knees are a little uncomfortable today or your feet aren't having it, then set yourself up. Just wait for a few moments before we begin. Once you get settled in, you might just spend a moment to kind of reflect on your day. Reflect on the type of energy that you encountered today, the type of energy that you carried around during your Monday. And just acknowledging everything that's beneath the surface, that's not necessarily visible. Giving yourself a chance to check in and just to feel what's going on. And as you get yourself settled, noticing what's underneath the surface. Let's take a few big breaths into every part of you. Imagining that your breath can move all the way down into the feet, all the way out into the fingers. Imagining that the breath can sort of get into those places that are unreachable, feel unreachable. Oh, and it's such a fun time putting together this playlist or getting the suggestions. This is a class all about secrets. Yeah. And it's just so funny to me how literally every single person walks around holding secrets, some kind of secret, right? Have this inner layer that is not visible to others. Unless we want it to be, of course. So for just another 3 minutes or so. So we'll sit in this child's pose or on our bellies. And breathe deeply. Just really feel into what's underneath it all. About 10 breaths more here. And if your forehead is down on the floor or the backs of your hands, you might rock it from side to side just for a little bit to loosen up some of the tension in your brow. Some of the tension surrounding your eyes, let that go too. Good. Nice, everyone. And then if you are not on your belly, we are going to slide our way onto our bellies, and you can press play on the music. And as you press play on the music, while you're on your belly, let's just take a little Sphinx pose. And as you bring your elbows underneath your shoulders, give your head a little roll around here, maybe dropping the chin down towards the chest only, or if you want to take your head around in a big circle, that's a thought here too. And allowing your shoulders to be kind of relaxed if possible. And relax your glutes here too. One more deep breath. Good, and then set yourself down on the floor. Let's take our arms out into a T shape with the palms facing down. Right cheek on the floor. Just roll over to your right side here, stacking the shoulders and the hips. Yeah, arranging your legs so that you feel good in your lower back. Knees to the chest for a little kickstand. Settling in for 5 breaths or so. Good, and bring yourself back through to the center, and as you get there, just take your right forearm and bring it across the top of the mat and set your head down on it. And then you're gonna reach back for your left foot with your left hand, coming into like a quadricep stretch here. Good, drawing that heel in towards the sitting bone, or maybe even to the outside of the hip. Good. Go ahead and let that go. Set it down. Slide that left arm over to the left, and then roll on over that nice arm stretch, shoulder opener. And 5 big breaths here too. As you bring yourself back through to the center, then just fold up that left arm, take the hand underneath your head, reach back for your right foot with your right hand. Find some space through the quadriceps here. Yeah, take notice of your knee and your jaw, these 2 cranky joints. Good, a couple more breaths. Good, and then let's set that right foot back down behind you. Take both of your hands under your shoulders, shift it on back into puppy pose. Good, and as you find your puppy pose, really the choice is yours, how you want to set yourself up. Sometimes crossing the ankles feels really good to me. Sometimes setting my forearms down on blocks feels really good to me. And just allowing your fingertips to kind of walk out long. Noticing the underarm. And 3 more breaths. Good, and then from here, just start to move, make your way up onto hands and knees. And on hands and knees, it might feel nice just for a breath or two to come back into downward dog, especially if your knees are feeling like they want a good stretch. But if you're good here on hands and knees, consider turning your hands around, either like all the way around or halfway around, so that you can feel a little something different through the wrists and the palms. Good, and if you want to take some intuitive movement here, you're welcome to, or you could go for some cats and cows and just see how those feel with your hands turned around. And a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And when you're ready, go ahead and flip those fingertips back around to the top of the mat. And from here, we're gonna take that right leg out nice and long behind and just lift it up really high. Good. You might keep your leg long as you take some big circles with that hip, or you might bend the knee and really move that hip around. Yeah, just whatever feels best to you. One is maybe a little bit more of a challenge for your glutes, your quads. One might help you explore range of motion better. And another breath or two. Good, and then you can set that right knee down to the floor. Come on back into child's pose. Good, a couple of deep breaths so that you can feel your pelvis move a little bit. Good. And your big inhale, your big exhale. And coming back up onto hands and knees, and at your own pace, moving that left hip around by first extending the leg out nice and long behind you, holding it up, and maybe taking circles with that leg long, or maybe bending the knee to take your hip circles here. Yeah, maybe it's not even circles, maybe it's some other kind of movement that makes more sense in your body, back and forth, side to side. Yeah. A few more deep breaths. And then go ahead and set that knee back down to the floor. We're going to take it back into a downward facing dog, and then pretty much right into a standing forward fold. And it doesn't matter if it's at the back of your mat, at the top of your mat, or in the middle. You're standing forward fold, widen your feet a little bit, maybe even as wide as the mat. Grab a hold of your elbows, and a little swing from side to side here, just like a little something. And gentle, feeling the backs of your legs, your feet on the floor. And your head nice and heavy, dropping way down. And then let that swing slow, come back to the middle. Take your right hand down to the floor onto a block. And then inhale and take the left hand up nice and high. You're going to deeply bend that right knee more than likely. Really press down into your left foot. Let a deep breath in, and as you exhale, the left hand comes down and just switch right over to the other side, deeply bending that left knee. Good. How does your right leg feel? Good. Go ahead and bring that right hand down. Let's step back into downward facing dog. And from down dog, just hang on to this for a few moments. You're thinking about letting the head drop way down, the hips lift really high up. And the muscles of your face release. And as you inhale, raise your right leg up and back behind you, bend the knee, and take a couple of circles here with the hip. So doing a lot of hip movement. Good. So another breath or two. Okay, we'll go ahead and set that right foot down at the top of the mat at your own pace. The left foot's gonna meet it. And then inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Good. Inhale, come all the way up, reach nice and high, a little bit of back bend, something small. Exhale, hands together at the heart, standing up tall. And place your hands one on top of the other on top of your heart, just holding what's there. Good. Inhale, reach the arms up and overhead, take a big stretch. And then exhale, fold forward over two long legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your palms down. Step back to high plank or maybe take a forearm plank. And if you want to roll through your vinyasa, you're welcome to do that here. You can also choose to hang your plank. You can choose to rest. Just take it back to down dog. Good. A deep breath in, raises that left leg up and back behind you. Take a couple of circles with that hip. Perfect. Yeah. Just take notice of how the hip feels, how the rest of your body feels with this movement. Good. Step the left foot in between your hands at the top of the mat, and then the right foot's going to meet it. Inhale, halfway lift, holding the heart, picking it up. Good. Exhale, fold yourself forward. And if it feels okay to interlace your fingers behind your back and press your knuckles up, then yeah, go for it. It might be nice to turn your head side to side, really dropping it down here. Good. Go ahead and release the arms down. Inhale, come all the way up, reach nice and high. Take a little baby back bend here. Maybe even dropping the elbows down just to help support the back of the heart a touch, or even the hands behind the head. That's another thought too. Good. As you breathe out, come back to a neutral. Hands touch down onto the heart, standing up nice and tall here. Good. Exhale, feel your feet on the floor. Inhale, raise the arms up and overhead. Take a big stretch. Exhale, dive forward over two long legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your palms, take it back to your high plank. Okay, and then your flow through, whatever that wants to be this evening. Okay, whatever feels like the thing. Good. Listen to the sound of the next 3 breaths. Good. As you breathe in, look in between the hands, and as you exhale, step, walk, or hop on up to the top of the mat. Breathe in, lift halfway when you get there, and then exhale, melt yourself into that forward fold. You might tug the hair at the top of your head or interlace your fingers and place them at the back of the neck. Just creating that little bit of heaviness there. And then really slowly begin to bring yourself all the way up to standing, rolling up one little bit at a time. Arms reach overhead, interlace the fingers, press the palms out and overhead here, and take a look up. You might take a little dip over to the right and over to the left, just finding space to the side of your body. Good, and then release those arms really slowly and bring yourself into your standing forward fold. Good, as you inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your palms down and find your flow through here. Good. And listening to these next 3 breaths. Good. Breathe in, look in between the hands, and then exhale the step walk or hop to the top of the mat. Good. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, come all the way up, reach nice and high. Take a look up in between those hands. Good. And then why don't we take the hands back behind the head and just take our little back bend like that, dropping our head back. Elbows wide here. Notice what's going on with the shoulders. Good. Back to neutral. Release the head. Hands come together at the heart. Sit down in your chair pose. Good. And here in chair pose, if you want to take a prayer twist, that's a thing you could do. One of your elbows to the outside of the other knee. Or if you want to take a tall twist, that might be nice. Good. Hey, try to sit down low and breathe as deeply as you can. Good. Okay, you're going to bring yourself back through to the center and pause for just a second before heading on over to the other side. And really feeling what's going on in your hips, your knees, middle of your belly. Good. Come on back through to the center. Fold yourself forward over two long legs. Ah, yay. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your palms down. Take it back to a high plank pose or a forearm plank. And we're going to take a side plank now. So we're going to tip over to the right side first. That right knee might drop down. Maybe you're rocking onto the edges of your feet. Yeah, the left hand can stay down or lift up. Or even out past the head. Yeah, just take a moment here. And then start to bring yourself back through to the center. As you breathe out, slowly lower yourself down towards the floor. Good, breathe in, lift the heart up. Exhale back. Down dog, maybe child's pose if you like a moment or two. Get some rest. Breathe in, take a look in between the hands. Exhale, walk, step, or hop on up to the top. Inhale, halfway lift when you get there. Exhale, forward fold. Good, inhale, come all the way up. And as you come up, bring your hands down to your lower back and let's find a standing camel pose. Or just this little bit of front body opening. Okay, maybe this is a big front body opening for you, or maybe it's focused on spreading the collarbones more so than anything. Okay, but feel your feet firmly planted on the floor. Nice. Hip points pressing forward. Good. From here, we're just going to come back down into a chair pose. You might want to take your feet out a little bit wider because we're going to sit down as low as is possible. And sometimes it's nice to have that space in between the feet. Yeah, hands can be on the thighs, the heart, or maybe overhead if you're feeling it. Sometimes it's hard to keep a secret. Very hard. Yeah, take a deep breath in. Exhale, fold yourself forward over two long legs. Shake the head out. And shake the shoulders out. Maybe stick your tongue out. Good, inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your palms, take it back to your high plank pose or plank with the knees down, and we're just gonna side plank over to the left this time. Yeah, and arranging your legs, your arms in the way that feels right. Maybe feet are staggered. And your hand can be up or on the floor. And breathing into your body. Good. Bringing yourself back through to the center when you are ready. Then lower yourself down to the floor. And inhale, pick up the heart. Exhale back, downward facing dog. As you inhale, raise that right leg up and back behind you. Hold it nice and high. And then open through the hip just for a moment. Pick up your head, look over your left shoulder for your right foot. Feel both hands pressing into the floor. And then step that right foot in between your hands at the top of the mat. We're gonna come into a pyramid pose, actually. Let's take a pyramid. I feel like I'm loving this pose recently. You know, it's not quite a restful pose, but almost, you know. Your legs are super activated here, but this idea of really letting your head drop down. Yeah, maybe the chest dropping in towards the thigh. If you want to add in a little extra challenge here, you might interlace your fingers behind your back and press your knuckles up towards the ceiling, which will kind of change things a little bit. Maybe this makes it feel more awkward. Maybe it's just right. And a deep breath. If you have the hands behind you, drop them down, bring them back to the floor or the blocks. And then walk your hands forward and let's pick up that left leg here and take standing leg lift, standing split. So again, the chest is in towards that right thigh. And then center of the left thigh picks up. Yeah, and maybe there's a balance here. Good, a deep breath in. And we're gonna step those left toes all the way to the back of the mat. We're gonna walk the hands around to the left and come into a standing wide angle. Good, and here in this standing wide angle, drop the head down towards the floor. Might bend the knees a touch. And taking time here. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. And then from here, we're gonna walk the hands back around to the top of the mat. We're gonna take a lunge. So that right knee is gonna be bent. Your left hand stays down on the floor. Raise that right arm up. Take your twist. And feel that left heel really pressing back here. Cool. Deep breath in. As you exhale, bring that right hand down, three-legged dog or hands and knees with that right leg back. Yeah, good. As you find that three-legged dog or three-legged cat, take a moment here. Yeah, and you might decide to move through a flow. Maybe this is a three-legged plank and a three-legged chaturanga and all that good stuff. Maybe you want to take cats and cows. Good. Doing what works. Good. And once you make it back to down dog, shake the head out a little bit. Good. And you might even like buzz your lips. Perfect. Great. And then as you inhale, lift that left leg up behind you. Good. And as you lift that left leg up, open through the hip a little bit, pointing the knee nice and high. Pick up your head, look over the right shoulder for your left foot. And then we'll step that left foot in between the hands at the top of the mat and find a pyramid pose. Yeah, so hopping that right foot in, just find that appropriate distance between the feet, widthwise and lengthwise. And ideally your knees and your ankles feel pretty happy here. And finding that nice opening through the back of that left leg. Yeah, maybe interlacing the fingers behind your back, pressing the knuckles out. Good, deep breath in here. And then let's walk those hands forward and raise the right leg up nice and high, standing split or standing leg lift. Good, as you pick up that leg, just notice where your chest is in relation to the left leg. Yeah, maybe this is a balance. Hands can be on blocks. And we'll step that right foot all the way to the back of the mat. Good, walk the hands around to the right and come into your standing wide angle here. And in this standing wide angle, it might make sense to take some deep knee bends from side to side. So coming way down to one hip and then the other hip. Just moving back and forth at your own pace. And it might even involve you keeping one hand down and lifting the other arm up and taking sort of like these nice open twists as you move side to side. Good. And eventually coming back through to the center, standing wide angle. Your head drop down. Just release through the neck here, get a little shake. Roll those shoulders around. Good, and then start to walk your hands back around to the top of the mat and set yourself up in your lunge, keeping the right hand down. Yeah, and raising that left arm up. Nice. Good, one more deep breath in, and as you exhale, the hand comes down. Step it on back into three-legged dog or three-legged cat. Good, and yeah, your flow through whatever movements feel right. Maybe it's that three-legged flow. And maybe everything's connected. And a deep breath in here. Breathe out. As you inhale, raise that right leg up and back behind you. Open through the hip. If you like to flip your dog around, you're welcome to do that. Maybe you want to repeat looking up and over your left shoulder. That's great too. Nice, everyone. Ooh, yeah. Cool. And then if you flipped around, come on back. Let's take that right foot in between the hands at the top of the mat. And from here, we're going to resume our pyramid situation. So you can just hop that left foot in a little bit, maybe like halfway. But rather than stick around too long here in strictly pyramid, we're going to twist it. So let's take that left hand down and raise the right hand up. Revolve triangle. Nice. And really feeling your right big toe press down, that left heel press down. Broadness of the collarbones. As you exhale, take your right hand down to the floor. Good. We're going to walk both hands forward here and lift that left leg up. And it might be nice to take Ardha Chandrasana, half moon pose. And for that, just opening through that left hip. And just taking maybe a few deep breaths here. Nice. Yeah. Yeah, wonderful. Playing this in reverse. Let's take both hands down to the ground and step those left toes all the way to the back of the mat. And this time we're gonna wiggle that right foot out to the side and maybe drop your left knee down and come into a lizard shape here. And you can stay lifted in your lizard if you want to get a nice opening through the front of that left hip. Or if you want to think about like taking your twist, yeah, right hand can come onto the right knee. Or you could lower your chest towards the floor. A few more breaths. Good, and then bringing yourself back up onto your hands. Step back into high plank pose from here. Good, and in this high plank pose, it's just kind of a nice counterbalance to that deep lizard pose. You might decide to drop down onto your forearms here, and then maybe even take a dolphin pose if you're feeling it. Walking your toes up towards your elbows, yeah. If you're in your dolphin pose, maybe take your gaze down in between your forearms if your neck is full with that. Good, and yeah, if you want to pick up one of your feet and take a little kick or a hop off of that grounded foot, you're certainly welcome to go there. Good, we'll revisit this again when we hit the other side. Good, and I know that after I get out of a dolphin pose, child's pose is always calling my name. So maybe it's calling your name too. And in this child's pose, you might consider wrapping your arms around you so that the tops of your shoulders can fall heavy to the floor. Good, and yeah, if you're a rabbit kind of person, maybe rolling up into rabbit on the top of your head. Good. Beautiful. Eventually, we're all going to make our way back into our downward facing dog again. Good. Nice. And from down dog, inhale, raise that left leg up and back behind you. Open up through the hip, and maybe there's a little flip around here, flipping your dog, or if you want to take some circles with that knee. Good, yes. Good, if you flipped, come on back. Let's step that left foot in between the hands at the top of the mat. Moving into pyramid pose, but then right into your revolved triangle. So keeping that right hand down, but taking the left hand to the hip, a little back or up. Good, deep breath in and out. And go ahead and set that left hand down. Let's walk both hands forward a bit. Raise that right leg up. Open through the hip. Good, and take your Ardha Chandrasana or half moon pose. And eventually go ahead and play that in reverse. Set those right toes down at the back of the mat. And just kind of ease yourself into your lizard or your dragon. Yeah, taking your twist if it suits you, or settling close to the floor, or maybe even pressing into the hands and lifting through the heart. Good, a big inhale and a big exhale, and then take yourself back into high plank pose again. Nice strengthener after all of that deep hip stretch. Good, feeling the low belly pull in and up, the inner thighs engage up and back. And a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Just make your way through a flow of your choice, and I'm going to suggest maybe spending a little bit of time in a back bend here. Good. If this King Cobra feels like a thing, you might place your knees on the ground and point your toes up, or not. Yeah. Eventually making your way back into downward facing dog. Good. From here in your down dog, breathe in, send your right leg up and back behind you. Exhale, step the right foot in between your hands at the top of the mat. Good. And let's find reverse warrior. So just sweeping on back here, spin that left heel down. Beautiful. And this reverse warrior, feeling strength through both of your legs. Good. And then we're going to come on up to find a warrior two. Good. And then from your warrior two, let's take the hands and bring them together at the heart, interlacing the fingers in front. Vajrapradama Mudra. Good, and then just turn your torso towards the top of your mat. It might mean that you rearrange your feet a little bit here too, to come into something a little bit more like warrior one-like. Good, and then you're just gonna take your hands together and kind of blast off into your balance pose. So balancing on that right leg, you're gonna pick the left leg up behind you. And just noticing how it feels to be here. The arms can do whatever. Good. And a thought that you might go for also a dancer pose. So reaching back for your left foot with your left hand, yeah, and reaching forward with that right hand. And after a little while, it just becomes like the end, and you know it. And then you set your foot down and find a standing forward fold and just give yourself a little swing around here. Right, just something gentle or maybe something big if you want it. Good. Nice. Good. You have the choice to breathe in and come all the way up if you want to, and then come back down. You could just make your way back through a flow of your choice. And eventually we'll all be back in downward facing dog in your own way. Good. A couple deep breaths. And let's extend that left leg up and back behind. And as you exhale, step it in between your hands. And let's find reverse warrior from here. So making your way into that nice swept back pose. And then into your warrior two. And first, really, really reaching out here, extending those fingers out long and wide, and feeling a lift from the fingers more so than from the shoulders. See if the shoulders can be at ease a little bit. Good, and then we'll take the hands together at the heart, interlacing the fingers in Vajrapranama Mudra. Just that little bit of a squeeze here to keep the hands together. Good, and then you're just gonna start to turn your torso towards the top of the mat. Bring your hands together and launch yourself forward into your warrior three, your airplane pose. Arms can be anywhere. And you might make your way into your dancer pose next with your right foot back on your right hand back on your right foot. Good. Yeah, and you're thinking about reaching forward with the left hand, but maintaining a little bit of a lift through the sternum here too. Good, and you'll know when you're done, and when you are, set that right foot down, give yourself a little sway around side to side, roll your shoulders, shake it out, do what needs to be done. Good. Good, a big inhale, and a big exhale. Good, inhale, reach those arms up and overhead. Exhale, dive forward over two long legs. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your palms, step back to high plank pose. And then just lower yourself all the way down to the floor. And as you find the floor, turn your head over to one side or the other and just take a moment here, feeling the coolness of the ground underneath you. The temperature of the air as it comes in through your nose and out through your nose. Good. You can turn your head over to the other side. This is probably the weird side of your neck. So just take a couple of moments with it. And then bring your forehead down towards the floor. Bring your big toes towards each other and your arms alongside the body, and maybe you're even interlacing your fingers behind your back. As you inhale, pick yourself up. Find your locust pose here, keeping the back of the neck nice and long. And notice the way your body rocks on the floor just because you're breathing. And see if you can really accentuate that movement rather than trying to stop it. And when you're ready to set yourself down, go ahead. Turn your head over to the weird side, maybe. Yeah. And a few big breaths. Good. Let's take one more little back bend here. It could be your locust pose again, or some floor swimming, or a bow. Yeah, I feel like we've probably warmed up all the things for bow. Reaching back for your feet. Good. Yeah, or maybe it's a cobra or a sphinx if you're feeling it. And when you're ready, go ahead and set yourself down. And a few good breaths to feel the floor underneath you. Your head over to the comfortable side now. Good. Let's take the hands underneath the shoulders. Come on up into a seated position at the back of the mat. And I'm thinking of a Baddha Konasana or a bound angle pose. And so bringing your feet together, and it doesn't really matter how far your feet are away from you. You can take this in any direction, easygoing or intense. But we're gonna fold forward here into this little bit of a hip opening pose. As you breathe in, bring yourself up and out of this. Let's bring the feet so that they're just about hip socket distance, and walk the hands back behind you. Press into the feet, lift up those hips, drop the head back. Find your reverse tabletop. Good, and then set yourself back down to the floor. Extend both of your legs out nice and long. And take a big breath in, reach nice and high. Exhale, fold forward over two long legs. And about 3 more breaths here. And as you breathe in, lift yourself on up and out of this one. And then take your hands back behind you again. And you have the choice to come back up into or maybe just lean back. Or if you want to take reverse table, that's a thought. Or reverse plank, lifting up your hips, kind of suspending your hips above the floor, dropping your head back. Good. Eventually go ahead and set yourself back down if you've lifted. And let's take a wide angle with the legs. You might take a moment to kind of situate yourself here. Sometimes I like to move some flash around, rock a little bit side to side. But yeah, eventually a fold forward in this pose. And if you have a block nearby, you want to rest your head on it or your forearms on it, that might be nice. A few more deep breaths here, maybe 5 or so. And start to lift yourself up and out of this one, and then just curl up into a little ball and find your back. Good, and it might be nice to just hug the knees into the chest and rock around a little bit for a moment. And then let's take that right knee and cross it over the left. You might grab a hold of your knees and pull them in towards your chest, or maybe your feet are on the floor, one of your feet is on the floor. The other option is to reach for the outer edges of both of your feet for this like reclined shoelace pose. Good. Let's take 3 more breaths. And then start to unwind those legs. Take the soles of the feet to the floor, pick up the hips and scoot them to the left, drop your knees off to the right. Nice. And then let's come on out of this, come back through to the center. Maybe a little bit of happy baby pose. A gentle rock from side to side, perhaps. Or really anything that feels balancing in the middle of the poses. Nice. From here, take that left knee and cross it over the right. And same thing, your shoelaces pose on your back. Maybe you're reaching for opposite feet, maybe not. Good. 2 more breaths. Alrighty, and then go ahead and unwind yourself. Take the soles of both of your feet to the floor. Pick up the hips and scoot them to the right. And your twist here, knees to the left. Good. Let's start to bring ourselves back through to the center. Oh. And if there's any other little pose that you wanted to do before going to Shavasana, feel free. Otherwise, just extend those legs out nice and long. Arms be wherever they need to be so that your shoulders are happy. Breathing some deep breaths into your body, into what's beneath the surface. Allow your breath to become relaxed and easy. Your limbs heavy. Really allow your eyes to soften here. Nice and heavy into the sockets, nothing to look at. The insides of your ears relax. Just be here with yourself. Beginning to deepen your breath just a little bit here. And when you're ready, move your body in a way that makes sense to you. Eventually, we'll find a seat. Just taking a moment to get there. Sitting up nice and tall, just take our hands and place them either together at the center of our chest or one on top of the other. Let's lift the heart up into the hands and broaden those collarbones. As you breathe out, drop your head down towards your hands and your heart, honoring your practice and honoring each other too. Yay. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for being here this evening, this hot, hot, hot evening. Oh,